Hey everybody! Today is Wednesday, May 15, 2024, and this is my training vlog. Day, let's see, can't, I don't know, I do not recall. 170. I'm going to take a guess and say I think today is day 173. I'm going to say 173. Today is day 173 of year 3 of Operation Great Reset. My training vlog. Build back better. Wheelchair roadwork. You will have nothing. You will own nothing. And you will be happy. I'm Charles Lanston, your happiness guide, teaching you how to make the most out of nothing. Okay, so, ladies and gents, as far as the training vlog goes, I'm making some gains. It's just, those of you who are new, coming back from a shoulder injury, which is why I'm over here at my mom's training, and in the driveway, not really going down into the street because I don't want to go over that curb quite yet. That was how I injured it the first time, not going over a curb, but going over a door jamb. It was already, I just wasn't training. I wasn't training very smart for a man my age. My shoulders were getting sore. I was ignoring it. Tried to pop a wheelie. Bam! Tore something. I don't know what it was, but anyway. That was back in February. So, it's coming back. It's just very slow. And I tried to rush it a little bit, like about I don't know, month and a half back, or 2 months back, and I just kind of aggravated it even worse. So now I'm just going very slowly. As you can tell, I mean, I can move around fairly well in the wheelchair. I can push myself around fairly well. I can get in the chair from bed fairly easily. It's the sliding from the chair into bed is where I have the problem, because I have to push off with whenever I try to push off with my right arm, that is not doable at the moment. I can't put that much. Whenever I try to put too much weight on there, it feels not right. So that's where the injury was. Alright, so anyway, my short-term goal was by the end of this month or the beginning of next month, however you want to look at it, I was hoping to be able to do that transfer independently. That's my little short-term goal. We'll see about that. Once I get confident with that movement, being able to transfer from the chair to the bed, then it shouldn't be too much longer after that to where I can go home or to my apartment and live somewhat independently. I get caregiver services, but they're only there like 3 hours a day. So, alright. So I need to be able to transfer independently. Okay, so now is the part of the big show where I'm going to continue my analysis of great works of literature. Here's a great work of self-help literature by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits highly effective people. Quadrant 2. In the habits of highly effective people, Quadrant 2 is for tasks that are important but not urgent. These tasks are aligned with long-term goals and can greatly benefit your life. And so where he's getting this quadrant business from, it comes from a diagram. By the way, if you want to see this diagram I'm explaining, I'm not going to be putting it in the video, but you can go to my blog, which there will be a link in the description, or you can just go to X. I'm at Charles Lavson. But this was today's tweet from 2 hours ago. But I put a little image in there, a little picture of his diagram, where he's got like 4 quadrants, okay? And, but it's kind of, I don't know, without being able to actually see it, you're gonna have to, okay, just imagine a square divided into 4 sections, and you got quadrant 1 up in the upper left hand side, and these are things that are urgent and important. Quadrant 1. You got crises, you got pressing problems, you got project with deadlines. Okay, and then so quadrant 2 is the quadrant that oh wait a minute, yeah, Covey contends in his book that quadrant 2 is the quadrant that most proactive, highly effective people most often operate from. And so that's quadrant 2, that's up on the upper right hand corner of the time management matrix, and this is in quadrant 2 are things like relationship building, planning, and recreation. And these are things that are important but not urgent. You don't want to wait until things are urgent before you do them. In other words, a proactive person takes care of things proactively so they're not caught off guard. Granted, you know, nobody can do that at all times, but even in such a case, that's another reason it's important to have contingency plans to anticipate things might go wrong and how they might go wrong, and when or at what times of the year or seasons things are most likely to go wrong. It's good to think every now and then when you have spare time to sit around and think about contingency plans, contingency scenarios with your team or even by yourself. Okay, so now you got quadrant 3 in the lower left hand corner. These are things that are not important. They're not, and but they are urgent. Things like interruptions, some phone calls, some mail, some reports. Okay. Alright, then you got things that are not important and not urgent. And these are down in the lower right hand corner, quadrant 4. Not important, not urgent. There's things like busy work, some phone calls, some mail, time wasters. Okay. Some more examples of quadrant 2 tasks include exercising, taking classes to advance your career, working on your business while keeping your current job, spending time with friends and family, designing and implementing systems, developing relationships, defining your personal mission statement, performing preventative maintenance like oil changes, health checkups, or home maintenance, planning recreation, learning. according to Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective people focus their time and energy in Quadrant II. Prioritizing these tasks requires discipline, which is key to self-management and achieving your personal mission. Alright, moving on. Oh. Whew. Whew. Alright. Excuse me. The four generations of time management. Okay, time management. Those of you who have studied this kind of thing, there's somewhat of a Covey wraps all the history of time management and management circles. He wraps all the history of it all up in a rather nice, neat little nutshell, and he calls it the 4 generations of time management. The first generation are things like notes and checklists. Second generation, calendars and planners. Third generation, goal setting and daily planning. Fourth generation, self-management. Fourth generation is self-management, not time management. I know that sounds very esoteric and pie in the sky, perhaps, or even a little bit too broad to have any meaning, but I'll make it a little bit more clear about what I mean by self-management. Okay, so the 4th generation of time management focuses on values such as relationships, health, and health, instead of time and things. It's about effectiveness, not just efficiency, and shifts the focus from doing tasks to building strong relationships and achieving meaningful results. Alright, yeah, so not quite sure how much I'm going to be out in the driveway today. It's a little warm, very hot and humid, going into a typical Missouri weather for the summer, late spring, early summer, so yeah, I might just be taking some breaks and just doing circle 8s here in the garage, but I know the sun's not even out that much, but it's pretty warm and humid. I think it's only supposed to be like upper 70s, but I don't know. I think it feels like it might be 80 or so. That's why I'm sorry if I'm being all gross and I keep sniffing all my snot, but I have these allergies. I don't know what else to do. So sorry, ladies and gents. I'm just a Hoosier, alright? And not the cool kind of Hoosier from Indiana. Yeah, and in St. Louis, for whatever reason, it's a regional thing, I guess, but when we call people Hoosiers, it means like white trash, so alright, I'm white trash, I admit it. I know it's not very classy, but I don't want to be sitting here blowing my nose every 2 minutes. So there, I'm sorry. Alright, the power of independent will. I can? Okay. Yeah, I think I covered this the other day. So I'm gonna do a little fancy editing here, and it's going to seem like I'll be away for a second, but I'm gonna hit pause and circle back. Alright, so alternative centers. Each of us has a center, though we usually don't recognize it as such. neither do we recognize the all-encompassing effects of that center on every aspect of our lives. Let's briefly examine several centers or core paradigms people typically have for a better understanding of how they affect these four fundamental dimensions. The four fundamental dimensions I'm referring to are, these are dimensions that we should have at our core, at our center. These are security, guidance, power, and wisdom, and ultimately the sum of life that flows from them. These four factors are interdependent. When these four factors are present together, harmonized and enlivened by each other, they create the great force of a noble personality, a balanced character. Here's some alternate centers, things that people sort of cling to and sort of mistake them for good and noble centers. When on the surface they may seem good and noble, but well, I'll get into what I'm talking about here. Center, you got the spouse-centered individuals. Description, your sense of emotional worth comes primarily from your marriage. Your sense of worth and direction comes from the way your spouse treats you or upon their moods. Family-centered, you get your sense of security or personal worth from family, tradition, and culture, or the family reputation. Your actions are guided by family expectations and traditions. You got the money-centered folks. And again, you can be several of these things at the same time. But it's just an important thing to keep to be cognizant of when we're trying to apply these principles of the 7 habits of highly effective people to improve our day-to-day existences. It's good to know where our strengths and weaknesses lie. So anyway, the money-centered folks, family-centered, money-centered, your security and sense of personal worth is derived from your income or net worth. You make decisions with profit as your guiding principle. Work-centered. Your sense of identity comes from your work or occupation. You make decisions with your job in mind. Now again, these are not necessarily bad things, but if you make your center your core, then things can kind of get out of balance. The goal is temperance, ladies and gentlemen, moderation, balance. Alright, possession, work-centered. Okay, your sense of identity comes from your work or occupation. You make decisions with your job in mind. Possession-centered, your sense of self-worth is wrapped up in your reputation, your social status, or in the material things you possess. Your sense of identity and security constantly fluctuates. If anything threatens your reputation or tangible and intangible assets. Pleasure-centered. You make decisions based on what's most fun and pleasurable. You become narcissistic and constantly seek bigger, better, and more pleasurable experiences. Friend/enemy centered. Your sense of identity and security comes from acceptance and belonging to a peer group. You have no intrinsic security and base your actions on the opinions of other people. Other people, both friends and foe, are pulling your strings. You're church-centered. I guess this could go for all religions, whatever. mosque-centered, temple-centered, what have you. You get the idea. Your identity is based upon your church activity and your reputation within the church. Your image, religious organization. Okay, I guess this material's a little dated, I suppose, but you get what I'm trying to say. Your image and reputation within the church becomes your dominant consideration. You may act one way within the church and completely different outside of it or outside of Sundays. Selfishness self-centered. Selfishness defines your sense of identity and security. You're primarily concerned with how circumstances, actions, or events will affect you. Alright. Moving on. At the center. So, going back and touching on habit 2 a little bit more. I know we got up to habit 3, which is put first things first. So, right now, just going back and making sure we have habit 2 completely covered, which is begin with the end in mind. Okay, and a lot of that is about visualization and finding your center, finding what core principles are important to you. If you operate from that core, from that center, you'll find things seem to your intentions and goals and plans will seem to manifest themselves a lot more smoothly and painlessly. Okay, so at the center, in order to write a personal mission statement, we must begin at the very center of our circle of influence. Okay, and so the circle of influence, basically it means that things that we have direct control over. That center comprised of our most basic paradigms, the lens through which we see the world. It is here that we deal with our vision and our values. It is here that we use our endowment of self-awareness to examine our maps and, if we value correct principles, to make certain that our maps accurately describe the territory that our paradigms are based on. Okay, let me take this from the top. It is here at the center that we deal with our vision and our values. It is here that we use our endowment of self-awareness to examine our maps, and if we value correct principles, to make certain that our maps accurately describe the territory, that our paradigms are based on principles and reality. It is here that we use our endowment of conscience as a compass to help us detect our own unique talents and areas of contribution. It is here that we use our endowment of imagination to mentally create the end we desire, giving direction and purpose to our beginnings. and providing the substance of a written personal constitution, i.e., any personal mission statement. It is also here at the center that our focused efforts achieve the greatest results. As we work within the very center of our circle of influence, we expand it. This is highest leverage PC work. PC work, that basically means production capability. That's what PC stands for. And what that comes from is he has this model of effectiveness as being the balance between production and production capability. And the metaphor he uses to describe this PPC balance, he compares the PPC balance to the golden goose parable, where the golden goose would, the product would be the golden eggs. The golden goose lays golden eggs. The golden eggs, and the production capability, the PC, is the golden goose. And so he contends that, so effectiveness is defined by the balance of these two. So there you go. Moving on. So PC. Oh, that's where. Okay, so it is also here. Okay, so it is also here that our focused efforts achieve the greatest results. As we work within the very center of our circle of influence, we expand it. This is highest leverage PC work, production capability work, significantly impacting the effectiveness of every aspect of our lives. Whatever is at the center of our life will be the source of our security, guidance, wisdom, and power. Security represents your sense of worth, your identity, your emotional anchorage, your self-esteem, your basic personal strength or lack of it. Guidance means your source of direction in life, encompassed by your map, your internal frame of reference that interprets for you what is happening out there are standards or principles or implicit criteria that govern movement, that govern moment by moment decision making and doing. Wisdom is your perspective on life, your sense of balance, your understanding of how the various parts and principles apply and relate to each other. It embraces judgment, discernment, comprehension. It is a gestalt or oneness. Gestalt. An integrated wholeness. Power is the faculty or capacity to act, strength and potency to accomplish something. It is the vital energy to make choices and decisions. It also includes the capacity to overcome deeply embedded habits and to cultivate higher, more effective ones. These four factors, security, guidance, wisdom, and power, are interdependent. Security and clear guidance bring true wisdom, and wisdom becomes the spark or catalyst to release and direct power. When these four factors are present together, harmonized and enlivened by each other, they create the great force of a noble personality, a balanced character, a beautifully integrated individual. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, end of the big show. I'm still going to keep on training a bit, but that's about it for right now. So it's time for us to part ways. Till our paths cross again. Happy trails, everybody.